Everybody. All right, here we go. 1012 podcast coming to you live. We are the podcast that covers all 14, soon to be 13, 15, 13. I don't look, I was an art major, so I wouldn't have to do math. So I really don't appreciate all this changing and going, adding and subtracting. If we could just get set that would be great. We are the flagship show of the 1012 podcast network. You can find every show on the network at 1012network.com. That's TEN, the number 12, the word network. We are doing our first ever Fancast. I have four of the most entertaining, I would say, fans of four of the most online fan bases in the Big 12. We're going to do quick introductions, and we've got a lot to get to tonight because this is decided to be the day that Colorado is going to join the Big 12. So let's go in the order that I have them listed. This is no in preferential treatment. Representing Texas Tech, the Red Raiders, that is Ty at Raider Ty 92 on Twitter. Welcome, Ty. Oh, there's the guns up. That's very nice. Brittany, aka at Brittany Rosie. I'm just assuming the E's are silent, but a lot of extra ones. Bringing the Iowa State fandom to the show tonight.
Hi, everyone.
For UCF, we have Charles, aka at Dolly Drama. Yes, that is what Dolly Drama looks like. It is not his profile picture. So any of you who are disappointed, I'm real sorry. You feel free to complain to him in the comments here tonight. He is representing UCF, not just a fan of our show, but longtime listener fan of Sons of UCF.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Excited to be here with you tonight, Philip.
And people are already like, Dolly. And representing the Wildcats, Kansas State, Allison, aka at Allison_Renner on Twitter as well. Allison, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Very excited to have you all here tonight. Like I said, the foremost online fan bases in the Big 12, I think. And I just, the four of you schools should be playing on a regular basis just for the Twitter award trophy or X trophy. I'm not calling it X. I don't care. I'm not gonna. The icon looks stupid on the tab at the top of the window. I'm not gonna do it. All right. We do have a lot to get to, but let me set the stage because the big story tonight, the rest of the week is. Looks like Colorado is going to be rejoining the Big 12. This is at this point, everyone's saying 98%, 99% done. It's not 100%. It's not official until the ink is dry. But it looks like Colorado will be returning to the Big 12. And this all kind of started last week. Colorado's Chancellor Phil DeStefano spoke to the Denver Post pre-Pac-12 Media Days, expecting there to be numbers presented at a meeting before Media Day. Well, guess what? There were no numbers presented. Shocker, I know. The Colorado AD at Media Day gave his 15 minutes and then ran as fast as he possibly could away from Vegas like he had done something he regretted and didn't want to have to talk about it anymore. Fast forward to today, an executive board session that was scheduled today at Colorado, after which Pete Thamel of ESPN was the first report. The Colorado is discussing a move to the Big 12. Since then, we've seen multiple reports that CU is now expected to make the move to their former conference. They've scheduled Board of Regents meetings for tomorrow and Thursday, both of which will be public, which is a big deal because up to this point, they've always been private meetings, executive sessions. These will be public meetings. That's what you do when you're going to announce something like a change in conference. It's what OU did. It's kind of a formality. Big 12 presidents are meeting tonight, right now, probably while we are discussing, to discuss realignment, aka get all our ducks in a row. That's a joke that'll play out later. To make sure that all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted, and that this thing can become official on either Wednesday or Thursday whenever Colorado makes a public vote. According to Brett McMurphy, Colorado will receive a full share from ESPN Fox of the $31.7 million that each Big 12 team will make in the new contract, and an announcement is expected on Thursday. According to Adam Munster Tiger, I don't think I pronounced that right, and I'm really sorry, from Buff Stampede 247's Colorado site. Colorado has set the stage to leave the Pac-12 and seek membership in the Big 12, quote, barring an unexpected hiccups in the next 24 hours. So, folks, this is going to happen. Colorado is going to come back. They're coming back home, baby. They've been out west. They tried to make their fortune. It didn't happen. It's okay. The wagons are coming east, and they're coming back home to rejoin us. Let's start with that before we talk about anything else that might be coming down the line. Allison is a Kansas State fan, the school that I think most probably fan base misses the rivalry with Colorado that used to be an annual tradition. I want to let you go first here. What are your thoughts on Colorado coming back to the Big 12?
Yeah, so I don't think it's too much of a surprise. We've been really honestly waiting for it for a year. I will say it's kind of nostalgic, just because I've been a lifelong K-State fan. So when Colorado left the Big 12, it was in 2010. So I would have been in middle school then. And I remember my parents would get the Kansas City Star newspaper, and I would read the sports section. And the Kansas City Star front page of the sports section that day had all of the Big 12 mascots and the Buffalo like walking away from the rest of them, and all of them looking really sad. And they're like, "Oh no, is this the end of the Big 12?" 10 years later, it's not, and they're coming back. I think it's good as far as a geographic standpoint. There's a lot of K-State alum in Colorado, so I'm pretty excited for them. It's really pretty easy to get to, a straight shot on I-70 to go to games. Other than that, I really don't care. I don't think that they really bring much value as far as football goes. It's always nice to get another number on there. It's going to be interesting with Coach Prime. I don't think he really does a whole lot his first couple of years. So I mean, it's nice to have a next door neighbor to Kansas kind of join the conference again. But yeah, nothing too unexpected there.
Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Appreciate all of you. We were going to try and do fan questions today, but we're just not going to have time with the Colorado news. Brittany, you represent Iowa State, the other remaining Big 8 school still in the Big 12. How do you feel about the return of Colorado, a team Iowa State has played many a time as well?
I'm not super surprised with all the rumors that they've been coming back and then it's got taken back, but I'm happy it's happening. I do like I wish that we got Nebraska back and all the rest of the original schools as well. Like Allison said, I don't think they add tons of value, but I'm hoping that it's a domino leading to the rest of the Four Corners schools dropping. I have a grad school degree from Arizona State, so I want them to join the Big 12. That way I have both schools in the conference. And I think it'll be a pretty scenery for games.
Ty, same question. Obviously, Texas Tech and Colorado have played some when both were members of the Big 12. Thoughts on the Buffs coming back?
Red Raider Nation is very sad that a fan base known for throwing batteries has joined our beloved conference. We no longer have sole ownership of this myth, and so it's going to take us a little bit of time to process it. But no, I honestly, it's such a. I was telling my buddies about this earlier. Colorado is such an anomaly to me. Just in how futile their football program has been for so long, when you consider it's a state flagship school. They've actually got a considerable amount of money. It's in a great market that's growing really fast. It's amazing to me that, and I think it really does speak to how much administrative and athletic department support for an investment in the football program goes a long way, that they have been so futile. But I continue to believe in the Buffs' potential. They won a national championship back in 1990 when none of us were likely born. But I definitely think that it's a good ad. I'm ready for all the Thanos memes. You could not deal with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Right back to us. But no, I'm really excited. I think it'll be good to play them again. They always beat us. Whenever I was starting to get into tech sports in the Leach days, this was actually when we were somewhat notable in football, but we never beat Colorado. So no, but overall, very excited. Can't wait to go to Boulder.
Real quick, show of hands. How many people here were alive in 1990? Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Okay. Charles, UCF and Colorado have never met on the gridiron before, so the first meeting will be the first meeting. I mean, you guys are joining the Big 12 this summer. I mean, what are your thoughts as someone who is just coming into the conference?
I mean, we haven't been here a long time, but we're here for a good time. I think it's great to have him back in the mix. We've been kind of waiting on this for the last 2 years. I mean, we've been looking to get to a P5 since 13, 12. We really started believing. We got on the map. We beat Baylor in the Fiesta Bowl. I think it's great to have him back. You have a state flagship. You own the entire state. Colorado State doesn't really do a dent up in Fort Collins. I'm happy for Big 8 guys that they have some people that are coming back to the conference. Big 12 has been kind of gutted and people have been parceling out little by little just with realignment. I think it's going to be epic. You got Prime there, which is a content factory that's younger, hipper, cooler. That's going to be transient. Probably 5 to 6 years. Maybe he comes back to the East Coast, but you're not telling me that that's not a primetime game of Colorado at UCF, black and gold versus black and gold. So I'm excited. As long as the pie doesn't get smaller, we all make the same amount of money or a little bit more, I'm all for it.
I definitely don't think the pie is going to get any smaller. Now, what is interesting, and this is team number 13, assuming they join in 2024 when Oklahoma and Texas leave. I don't feel like it's done. Brett said he wants 14 teams, and I don't feel like he would stop at 14 if the opportunity to add some other teams was available. Now, I want to note this. Jason Shear, who writes for Arizona for 247, who's been one of the, I think, the most even keel and best people to follow throughout this process, who's not been overly aggressive either one way or the other. He said Colorado's likely to move within the next 48 hours. This is on his Twitter. Quote, also, there's another school in the Pac-12 beyond the rumored four corners that will surprise people and is seriously contemplating a jump to the Big 12. Everybody was throwing out ideas. Cal made a lot of sense as a surprise team. He followed this up respectfully. Washington State and Oregon State aren't attractive enough for full Big 12 shares. That makes a lot of sense. Stanford and Cal don't even know they have athletic departments. Haha, but true. Think elsewhere. That leaves two teams, Oregon and Washington. So I'm going to throw this out to you guys. Between those two, if they were at Oklahoma or the Big 12 was going to add one more school in Oregon and Washington, who would you prefer they add? Ty, what's your answer?
Probably Oregon. Although I think it's really 1A and 1B. I will say, so the only thing that I've seen in the Twitter world, this is from Matt Frem, he is the Duck beat writer for 24/7 Sports, has tweeted at about 5:57 that the University of Oregon Executive Audit and Governance Committee of the Board of Trustees will hold a meeting Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. This looks to be scheduled very last minute. So who knows? I don't know. Maybe they're just coming for just to say hi or to count the ducks, whatever they do up in Oregon. But I think I probably have a slight lean for Oregon. But honestly, it'd be amazing for the conference to get either.
Nathan Huber in the comments, I would take Oregon in a heartbeat today. Scott with 4 duck emojis. That all makes sense. Brittany, what are your thoughts?
Hands down, Oregon. I think that they're a fun school. You got Nike as the brand. You have a great mascot. I also saw that post about the meeting tomorrow. I saw some comments saying it was regarding an extension for their coach, but I am hoping that it is them coming to join Colorado in the Big 12.
It is supposed to be for Lanning's contract extension, but that doesn't mean they can't discuss other things while they are there. Charles, what's your pick here?
I think Oregon, they just kind of sync up with what we're trying to do of getting hype. You got the Nike connection. I definitely think it's a 1A, 1B. I mean, Washington is not just going to be out there on an island either. The only thing that bothers me about Oregon, they were probably the most vocal about really, really pushing to get a Big Ten invite from Phil Knight. But I mean, to have that brand association in the Big 12, what they can kind of do to kind of make where their feet are at the best possible, I think it'd be a no-brainer. It'd be really exciting to have the Pacific Northwest locked down with Oregon.
Shout out to UCF Sports who's with us tonight. If Oregon or Washington is the next domino, the other will fall behind. They're either both staying in the pack or both leaving. I think that makes a lot of sense. It's weird how close I think they might be tied to the hip, just as the way Arizona State are, though, for different reasons. Allison, Oregon or Washington, what's your thought?
Yeah, I mean, I think that anybody's pick would be Oregon just because of their historic success. Washington's up and coming. I guess the only caveat is if only one of those teams were coming, and it's truly not both. I do wonder, like I said, everybody would pick Oregon as their first pick. What if the Big Ten is pushing to get Oregon and maybe adding a Notre Dame, leaving Washington? Would Washington consider going to the Big 12? I don't see them leaving each other. I think that Oregon and Washington have too much invested in each other to leave. It'd be super weird if they were in different conferences, but just a thought.
I think it's a good thought. I mean, Notre Dame is the golden goose, the great white elk, the unicorn, whatever you want to pick as far as the thing that everybody wants, but no one's probably ever actually going to catch, Sasquatch, so on and so forth. But I do think it's interesting. And it's obviously something to continue to watch. I don't want to spend this whole show on Colorado. I know we could. That would be easy to start speculating and throwing out theories and things like that. It's a lot of fun. But we did put together if you wanted to talk about tonight. And one of them we've got to do because Allison teased it on Twitter. And I have been foaming at the bit foaming at the mouth, chomping at the bit. I mixed those. Sorry. To find out, we're going to pick some hot takes. My 4 guests each have a hot take for this season. Allison, I mean, you're the one who teased it. You're the one who's been building this up. You've got to go first. What is your hot take for Big 12 football this year?
Okay, so I don't like my hot take, but it is what it is. I think that Dylan Gabriel has a chance to win a Heisman this year. I know that everybody was high on him last year, and he did not really perform the way that everyone expected, especially under Vanderbilt. But I'm sorry, UCF fans. I know that he left at not great terms from UCF to Oklahoma. But just to explain a little bit, Jalen Daniels was picked as the Offensive Player of the Year at Media Days for the Big 12. I think that he is the 4th best quarterback in the Big 12, and that's not just me being biased. Really, he only played, 6 games last year? They were all against non-com teams or really the bottom of the Big 12. Iowa State, West Virginia. He played K-State at the end and lost. Lost in the Liberty Bowl against Arkansas, which was arguably his best game. But I don't know. There was really no drop in production when they did switch to Bean. KU pretty much kept up with what they were performing as before the Daniels injury. So I think they've got a great offensive coordinator. And I think it's more on him than Jalen Daniels. Quinn Ewers, another name that's kind of been thrown out there. He just can't perform in the big moments. Several games last year, he kind of just crumbled in the parts of games that he really needed to show up for. Yes, I was at the K-State Texas game. Yes, I was sitting behind the end zone that they scored 36 points on us. Trust me, that was a lot more of Bijan Robinson than it was Quinn Ewers. Honestly, K-State's defense was not playing great as well that half. But yeah, I think that Dylan Gabriel is a good quarterback. I think he can perform better this year, hopefully not get concussed again. And I think that OU has a very favorable schedule where they could end up making it to the Big 12 championship just based off of strength of schedule and being able to, have the most wins out of those opponents.
I actually think Jalen Daniels is the 4th best quarterback in the Big 12 is a hotter take than Dylan Gabriel will win a Heisman. Charles, I'm going to ask you yours first. Why does everyone keep calling him Sock Boy in the comments?
Oh, I can tell you right now. Well, first of all, I know we were just talking about Oregon, and that's what they do, right? At Oregon for their symbol. That's also the symbol for Dylan Gabriel being clutch in games. So he's a very talented quarterback. I've seen him all the time. So I'm at UCF. His best win at UCF was at 1:00 in the morning versus Boise State after like a 3-hour rain delay. So extremely talented in clutch moments. I mean, he made Sauce Gardner a household name throwing a pick 6 at Cincy. He left on just not even just leaving to Oklahoma, but it's just different terms. Extremely talented. I'm so glad they picked that game as their homecoming too for Warren Norman. But yeah, he could totally be the Heisman. He's extremely talented, but I just don't. He won't. It'll be someone else.
Do you have a hot take for us tonight, Charles?
I do. That was a little spicy. I think UCF, just looking at our schedule, I think I can really see us not even losing at home. And I think that we can have a major kind of like game day or Fox Noon for a game or two at the Bounce House. And I'm going to call it right now, Baylor at UCF, late September. 10-year anniversary of the Fiesta Bowl win. Looked at what Baylor had to do. Baylor has to beat Utah at home at McLean, which is huge. And they also get Texas. I know they lost to Texas a little, maybe almost by 10, but they played them tight and they were playing at Austin the last game. If they go undefeated in that stretch and they kind of have their tune-up games at the beginning of the year, our biggest thing is we have to head over to Boise State. I don't expect us to win at Kansas State. That's just a tough environment to play at. We played there before. But if we're coming out the gate 3-1 and Baylor's 4-0, I mean, that would be a no-brainer to have college game day at UCF.
For a second there, I thought you were about to say UCF to the Big 12 title game, and I was really about to be excited for that hot take. You guys just keep feeding them to me. I got perfect things. Just note the time, clip this, put it out on social. This is going to be great. Ty, this is why I brought you guys in here. Ty, what's your hot take for us, man?
I am going to be positive. Like Magic Johnson, I'm always positive. I'm going to say that I trust the climb a little bit this year. West Virginia is picked dead last in the media poll, and I kind of get it. The defense is really, really bad, but they have one of the best offensive and most experienced offensive lines coming back into the conference. CJ Donaldson is a monster, they've got, I think, having seen him play again, I'm not sold on Neil Brown and like the play calling aspect, but I think that Aaron Green is a very capable, noble quarterback. I'm really big on lines, defensive lines, offensive lines. It usually moves the needle for me. And, when I look at, the teams I think that are in the top half of this conference, West Virginia is not one of them. That defense is probably not getting better in 1 year, but I don't think they're finishing last. And I think the other team that I think is getting a little underrated is Oklahoma State, another team that brings back some solid experience on the line. They actually have more weapons than people think. It all is going to hinge on whether Alan Bowman is going to be playing at the level that he is when he played for us before the collapsed lung. But they have several all Big 12 defensive players with the Pokes. Their schedule's not awful. It really just comes to how much you are going to put into Alan Bowman as far as just faith that he'll be able to kind of lead that offense. So I'm going to be positive. I'm actually going to go against some of the naysayers as far as who's been picked low. I actually have a little bit more faith in West Virginia and Oklahoma State this year.
I like it. Shout out to Roundabout, Alex Land, Aaron Howe, Ben G in the comments. You guys keep it going. Love it. Roundabout. Okay. Houston and Cincy might have a pillow fight for the last slot. I picked West Virginia last in the Big 12 media poll. It wouldn't shock me if Houston finishes there. Brittany, I'm okay. Like you got a lot of takes on Twitter, so I'm fully expecting something tweetable here from you to wrap up our hot takes.
Well, Iowa State does not have a leg to stand on. As far as I'm concerned, it's going to be Matt Campbell and Cy out there on the field alone. Sad. I do think that if KU does as well as they think they're going to do, I think Jalen Daniels does win the Heisman. But I also do agree with you, Allison, that OU does well. I think I am the only person that thinks that Texas Tech is going to end up towards the bottom. I'm so sorry, Ty. I have them only winning 3 games. It's not that they're bad. It's just I think that other teams are better. And my top 3 are Texas, OU, and K-State, which is quite frankly my nightmare. So I hope that's not actually true.
I like that. Okay, that's good. Okay. We've still got a little bit of time left here. Shout out to everybody in the comments. Let's see if Aaron Howe, I'm with Brittany on Texas Tech. Oh, Ty, they're coming for you, man. Nightmares Jay, Mike Gundy had fantastic hair at media days. He looked like a deep sea charter captain out of Key West. Look, Mike Gundy always likes to look his best and feel his best when he's feeling pretty confident. So we'll see if that confidence is for real. I want to ask each of you this. This is, as we have been pounding the table for, there's never been a season like what we're about to have in the Big 12. There's so many narratives and stories. Like I get the quarterbacks and how competitive the Pac-12 can be. I understand Georgia running through the schedule and Michigan, Ohio State. I get all that. But you have 4 teams who've been looking for their opportunity to make a name for themselves in a Power 5 coming up for the first time. One of them's got a brand new head coach. You got UCF who's literally cannot stop talking about it and doing everything they can to build excitement for it, which I love. It's freaking awesome. You've got Houston and Dana Holgorsen back in the Big 12. You've got old rivalries. You've got Texas having to go to Houston, a place they never wanted to have step foot in football if they could have ever avoided it. And the fact that Texas and Houston are in the same conference, I think Texas is still in denial about that fact. You get the last final bedlam. You get BYU, TCU, which is to be a conference game. You get former Big East foes, West Virginia and Cincinnati facing off. Like, there's so many storylines. Oh, and by the way, it's the most competitive conference from top to bottom, and it doesn't really matter who ends up first in the preseason poll or second or third, because it's most likely to be the teams picked 5th and 8th who actually end up in Arlington in December. So All these things are building toward what should be the greatest college football season one conference has ever had and ever will have. So looking at that with those very biased, whatever color the Big 12 logo is now, black and white lenses, I want to know what you guys are most looking forward to, most excited about this season. Ty, you're up first, man.
Are we talking about just the newcomers or just
no, whatever, man, whatever you're just like,
I mean, I don't think this is going to be like completely crazy, but obviously I'm the most excited to hosting that Big 12 trophy in Arlington. I don't know who we're going to play, got thoughts, but obviously Texas Tech winning their first outright conference championship, since I'm not going to mention when. That's what I'm probably most looking forward to.
I'm big on intra-conference transfers. So Texas Tech playing Donovan Smith in Houston this season is on my cannot wait to have on a TV to keep on. Yes, Nathan Huebner, Texas Tech is naked and has a knife. They always do. That article was fantastic if you haven't read it.
Awesome.
Brittany.
That's a perfect analogy.
Other than Iowa State not being terrible on offense and special teams again, what are you most looking forward to this year in Big 12?
As much as I have OU and Texas doing well when I rank them, I'm hoping to send them both out with losses, as well as getting rid of the freaking Longhorn Network for once, finally. And then this is not a football take, but in terms of the new schools, Cincinnati, I'm looking forward to putting them in their place for saying that they think that they're better than KU at basketball.
Oh, there are Cincinnati is better than KU at basketball takes. Okay, Cincinnati fans. At least UCF comes in understanding their place in Big 12 men's basketball. Cincinnati, I'm sorry, Mick
50s.
Cronin ain't there anymore in Ohio. Speaking of UCF and the team that we won't have to talk about men's basketball for because I won't do that to you. But Charles, what are you most excited about?
I mean, you got to think we've been in this G5 kind of pigeonhole that you had to be perfect or great out of conference in September. I'm looking forward to just seeing the season unfold and something can happen. And like you said, there's always two teams in that 5-8 spot in the Big 12 title game to kind of enjoy the entire season. And usually you'd be watching, my games and maybe some other teams in Florida and then Cincinnati or Memphis to see who's taking that G5 spot in a New Year's 6-day bowl. So kind of letting the season unfold. Just knowing that you can miss a game or two in a 9-3 or an 8-4 season is not a terrible season, for a Power 5 league. And you still get to go to some pretty sweet bowls. It'd be either the New Year's 6 bowl or, the Fiesta Bowl or Atlanta, or you'd end up at the Boca Raton Bowl, on a Tuesday night. So I'm excited about that. I'm super excited to see what UCF can do. Every time UCF has changed conferences, we've won the conference that first year. Just a heads up.
Oh, there's a fact that I will not put any money on now, but a very interesting one nonetheless. Let me just say though, I do appreciate UCF joining the Big 12 because men's basketball is a freaking gauntlet, and it would be nice to have a game off just to take a break occasionally throughout the season. So you guys coming in to be the sacrificial lamb in men's basketball, you know what? We all really appreciate that. We'll let you have like a softball win against OU or Texas or something on the way out. That's really nice. Allison, I don't know how you topped last year and winning a Big 12 title. So I'm curious what's got you ready to go this year?
You top it by doing it again. So I'm looking forward to going back to back. I will hopefully be living in Dallas by the time that the Big 12 championship goes on. So it should just be a quick little drive over there to watch my favorite team in Jerry World. But really throughout the season, I'm most excited to watch all of the weird random rivalries develop. So I'm a firm believer that rivalries are built on history, but sometimes that can be a very strange comeuppance, as Farmageddon kind of was built on which is the better crop, and turned into the Iowa State K-State rivalry that it is today. So I'm looking forward to that. There's already kind of some stuff built up with UCF and Iowa State for whatever reason, random shade, I guess. I'm looking forward to just some scrappiness during games, kind of see what happens, because this is really the foundational year of where a lot of traditions are going to start to be made. And I'm also looking forward to November, where Phil, I think you mentioned on your last episode, a certain guy with the same last name as an office company has a bet with me that one of the Big 12 coaches is leaving for Northwestern. Who's since backed down a couple hours after that.
Wait, the coach has the same last name as a?
No, the analyst.
Oh, yes. Nah, that's not gonna happen. Some people value more than just getting a paycheck to suck. Like it's nice to, don't get me wrong, money's great. No, the tweet was about Kleiman because everyone started putting Kleiman there because, why would you stay at a Big 12 school when you can go make Big 10 money at a much more difficult place to win? Yes, I said Northwestern's a more difficult place to win than Kansas State. So just going to leave that out there. We're going to have to wrap this up because my kids will be home any moment and I'm going to have to put them to bed. And also the way that I'm sitting, my legs have actually fallen to sleep and my feet are starting to hurt. That's what happens when you give up your office for the new baby and record in the children's playroom. So this has been absolutely awesome. I love this so much. We're going to have to do the Fancast again. And I hope that you guys join me as well. Plug your Twitter accounts, your socials, where everybody can go and find all of the hot takes and the crazy things and the biased remarks that you make. Ty is at Raider Ty 92. Brittany. Why you spell? I gotta spell it out. There's 2 T's, 2 Y's, two or 3 E's. I don't remember. 4 T's,
2 I's, 2 Y's, 2 E's. Except my burner has 3 E's since Elon tried to kick me off, but
try to kick off X. Charles, for those who know Dolly Drama, this is what Dolly Drama actually looks like. This is a revelation for all. This is the most important thing about this episode is that we now know the actual face of Dolly Drama.
Beautiful.
Look, you should use this picture. It's much better looking than the other one. And of course, one of my favorite K-State follows, Allison Runner. Allison, appreciate all of you guys for being here, taking some time. Reckham, Go Clone. What is the Go? What is it's not Go Clones. It's Cyclone Nation.
Cyclone Nation, yeah.
Thank you, Emaw and Charjon. You think after using all these hashtags, I would remember all of them on tagging everything. These comments, you guys are awesome. Thank you all. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, like this episode, subscribe to the show, check out every show in the 1012 network. We have a show for every one of the schools represented here, except for Iowa State. It's not my fault. It's hard to find one. So whenever Brittany decides she wants to start a podcast, we'll let you know. Y'all enjoy the weekend. Welcome Colorado, and we'll talk to y'all again soon.
Charge on.
Later.
Bye. Thank you.